Welcome, Jerry Citarella and Agnes Russell. The American Cancer Society is pleased to honor you both as part of our celebration of National Cancer Survivor Month, which takes place each June. Jerry, you are a new cancer survivor,
Yep.
And Agnes, you have been a survivor for over 20 years.
You're a veteran.
21, yes.
We are delighted to continue our conversation, which is featured in the June issue of Santa Clarita magazine, and we welcome the opportunity to hear more of your personal stories. So, you both had children when you were diagnosed. Agnes, how did you handle the delicate subject of your diagnosis? What were your greatest concerns?
Probably one of the hardest things I had to do is to tell my daughters that I had breast cancer. It was really a difficult time because they're both, all three of them are very emotional, so it was really hard for me. And I think at that time, I just felt like that was a death sentence and I wasn't going to be able to see my daughters anymore, so it was a difficult time.
Yeah. What about you, Jerry?
Yeah, it was definitely hard. I mean, that's when I heard that word, you know, the first thing I thought of was, you know, how do I parent them? I actually was trying to figure out how I, you know, as you know, there's a lot of things that go through your head.
Right.
First thing is, I'm going to be okay. And then you say, well, what if I'm not? So I started thinking about making videos that my wife could play for them at their wedding. And I thought, you know, that's horrible. I'm not going there. But it was one of the biggest concerns, and you know, I didn't want them to worry. So you know, when we were talking the other day, I told you my initial diagnosis was much worse than it ended up being. So I didn't tell them for a long time. I actually waited until less than a week before my surgery. I just figured there was no reason for them to worry. You know, they're 17-year-old girls. There's enough going on with COVID, and they went to the school with the shooting, and I'm like, I don't need to. So I didn't want to tell them anything until I knew what I had to tell them. Yes. You know, originally they said it was stage 2 or 3, and the last thing I wanted to say is I have to go through chemo and this, and here are my odds of surviving. So I just waited and waited, and fortunately I got to tell them. And when I sat them down, I said, I have some really, really good news for you. And they looked at me and I said, it's going to sound bad, but just understand it's really good news. And I said, I have cancer, but it's 100% curable. They're going to take it out, so you don't have to be worried. So it was great to be able to say that to them, but it was, like you said, one of the biggest concerns.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny, when I had to go in to talk to the surgeon, all my family was there. My daughters all came in, and I had a list of questions. I never even opened my mouth. They had a list of questions, and they asked all these questions. So I just sat there and listened to their questions, which they did everything I was going to ask, they did.
Yeah.
And it's funny, the surgeon was so amazed at the way they were. And Eric said when I came out of surgery, he went up to my daughters first to tell them that I would be okay, and then my husband. And he always asked about my daughters because the way they were so concerned in the questions. He couldn't believe all the questions they asked.
Yeah, very knowledgeable.
No, yes.
Jerry, you mentioned that as a cancer survivor, you feel a little guilty. Can you talk about that and how you adjust to being a survivor?
Yeah, so the guilt part came from not being a survivor, but compared to you and compared to many others, I ended up kind of having it easier. You know, I was able to avoid chemo, I was able to avoid radiation. I had a 6.5-hour surgery, and I'm currently sitting here with no rectum and wearing a bag. I mean, so it's not like I just skated through it.
No.
But I just, you know, over the years with the Survivor Lab, you know, and being on the board and everything, talking to so many people, and I've heard this in the past where people said, "Oh, I don't want to be. I'm not really a survivor. I just had a little something removed." I said, "No,
You're a survivor.
You're a survivor." And then so when mine came back stage 1, and it was, the doctor wasn't disappointed, but he was giving me, you know, we're going to do this and 6 months of this and 3 months of this, and when he told me it was almost like, oh, it's just stage 1. I don't really get to do much for you. It was so he, I'm sure he wasn't, but he almost seemed like, I don't, just go see the surgeon, you know. So I kind of felt like I'm not really a survivor because I didn't have that horrible, well, not completely bald, but, you know, bald fight and all the pain and suffering. I just had the one. But then I realized, no, I think the moment you hear the word and you have the emotion that comes along with just hearing the word cancer, from that moment on, you're a survivor.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So I still feel like I understand that a lot of people had it a lot worse than me, but I'm not feeling guilty anymore. I went through it.
Yeah, yeah.
But what's interesting, the oncologist, when I was through with my chemo, I said, does that mean I'm a survivor? She said, in your eyes, you're a survivor. I don't say you're a survivor, but in your eyes, that was her answer to me.
It's not very hopeful.
No, she wasn't.
So yours wasn't hopeful. Mine was disappointed. I didn't have anything real bad. I think this one, we need to revisit our care.
Agnes, you mentioned that waiting is the worst part. Can you talk a little bit about that and describe your experience of waiting?
That was the hardest thing. I said, you know, when they died, mine was found in a mammogram. I'm a breast cancer survivor. And then, of course, the ultrasound and then the biopsy and all that. And then the waiting. I think it was, I don't remember if it was, it seemed like months, but it might have been a week, 2 weeks. That was the worst thing, not knowing. I just feel that they have to do something. And I always say this to my support group with pathology so they can let us know sooner, because I was like in a fog for about a week and a half. I didn't know where I was here or was there. I just waiting to find, and everybody telling me, you're going to be okay, you're going to be okay, there's nothing, you're going to be okay. That's what I heard. But it was one of the longest weeks and a half that I ever had.
Yeah, once you know it's in there, you just want it out.
I want it out.
Yeah, that's the way I felt. When they scheduled my surgery, I didn't care if it was a day and a half later. I wanted it now.
That's it.
Yeah, just get it out.
I mean, it just, so I just say that I wish that they could come up. I know that, they have a lot in the pathology, but I wish they could come up with something where it would be sooner, a lot easier.
Yeah, it's so stressful.
Oh, it was stressful.
Jerry, what are your go-to strategies for coping day to day with the new you? Do you ever feel apprehensive about cancer? And if so, what do you do?
I'm just living life. I don't feel apprehensive at this point. I guess I had a pretty good awareness of it prior being involved with the organization. The day-to-day stuff that got me through it, though, when I was dealing with it, was just I never, ever got negative. I just decided I was going to make it. Whatever happened was going to happen, and anything was better than not surviving. And once I knew I was going to survive, then it didn't really matter what they did. I said, okay, I have to wear this bag. It's supposed to be reversed, even if it's not. We were joking on the way in. I'm happy to be above ground than below ground, and anything's okay at that point. And I just wanted to see my kids get married, and I wanted to, be with my friends and work, and so I just really just kind of kept as positive of an attitude as I can. And it's easy to say, it's harder to do, but I don't really know if there's any apprehensions now, just because I don't really know what the answer is. I'm not apprehensive. I'm just moving forward, and you know what? If it comes again, we'll beat it again. It's that simple.
Yeah. Agnes, you facilitate a breast cancer support group, Bosom Buddies, and you remain active volunteering. What is the draw for you, and how has facilitating the support group helped you personally?
Oh, I think when I was diagnosed, I was so frightened that I decided that if I got through this, I wanted to try to help others go through their journey, their cancer journey. And so, of course, with Heather, wanted me to take over Bosom, but I can't. Yes, you can.
I don't think anybody can say no to, or could say no to Heather.
Never could say no to her. I found for me it was very rewarding that if I could help one person go through their journey, I felt like I've done what I really wanted to do. And it helps me because being a 21-year survivor, I'm learning from the new ones that come in with all the different treatments that are going on. I said, so for me, it just was very rewarding to try to help others.
Yes. Jerry, you've been very active in fundraising for the American Cancer Society. What role do you think money plays in optimizing health?
I think I'm alive today because of it. Pretty simple answer. I know you said when you had it, it scared you.
Yeah.
And with what you know about it now, you know today, your odds of... It's still a very scary word, but it used to be, you have cancer, go say your goodbyes.
That's it.
Now it's, you have cancer, let's figure out all the various options. And obviously some people still don't survive. But for me, it was screening, which, 30, 40 years ago, it wasn't there. And now, and then I've said with this bag I'm wearing, I look down and I can't believe my small intestine is hanging out of my stomach, and it's horrible. But I looked down and I went, somebody 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years ago
would not be here
with the help of a grant or some money that was raised at Relay for Life or somewhere else said, I have this idea, can I get some funding to see if we can do this? So without that, I think we would still be way back. So I think money is unfortunately something that's necessary, and more we're changing the survival rates, we're changing the opportunities.
It has gone down, yes.
We're changing the screenings, and you mentioned pathology, and you wish it would happen faster. I mean, imagine
years ago,
21 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I got my answers back in a day or two.
See?
So I think the money's helped quite a bit. And, and everybody's always asking for money, but it's necessary. It's necessary to keep this going.
Drives research.
Yeah, 100%.
Agnes, you mentioned that you continued seeing your oncologist once a year for 15 years. Explain your feelings in doing that and why you decided
I think she was my security blanket. I just felt, I felt I had to go and have her tell me, you're fine, your blood tests were fine, everything's fine, you're fine. And so after 15 years, she asked me, she said, do you still want to come in? She said, you can. She said, I have no problem. And I said, well, I guess it's time. She said, let's let it go. And if you feel you have to come back. But I just felt I needed her to tell me that I was fine. Yeah. So it took me 15 years.
It's okay.
But we need that security.
It did. It just relieved me every time I went, and she would tell me that everything was fine.
Yeah. Jerry, do you think cancer has changed you? Did you have some sort of self-discovery or revelation?
Yeah, I don't think it can do anything but change you a little bit. And yeah, I mean, I've lived a good life, and I enjoy my life and my wife and kids, and we do things, and we already enjoy it, and we already smell the roses. But definitely, there's a few friends that I've called and said, how long have we been saying we need to do another lake trip, or how long have we been saying we need to get the kids together? So I think I'm definitely not going to live like I'm not going to live like I might die tomorrow, but I'm going to be aware that anything can happen, and it doesn't mean I'm going to blow all my money tomorrow and go crazy. Yeah. But it does mean that when we try to find an excuse not to do that thing that would be fun or interesting, there's going to be less of those. And also with relationships, there were a couple friends that, little things going on, maybe a dispute, and I made a couple calls, and I just said, listen, I don't know why we're not talking as much as we used to, but let's connect. Let's just get back and let's do the things we need to do. So yeah, there's no major change. I'm not going to suddenly go out and do anything crazy, but I definitely am aware, and I'm not going to pass up opportunities. And I do find myself when I'm outside, I noticed it the other day, and my wife said something, that I'm just looking around a lot. I just feel like noticing things more. And I said to her the other day, I never really noticed the birds chirping this much. And it's kind of an awareness and appreciation, and then my kids get hugged a little bit tighter. And there's just there's little things.
Yes.
But definitely, it opens your eyes.
It does.
It opens your eyes for sure.
The colors in your world change.
Yeah, and also I've been away from the American Cancer Society for a while.
Yeah.
Involved, I still quietly donate and I still do things, but not as active. And then when I got a call to do this the other day, I said I have to become a voice again and be more active and help spread the word.
Good, we want you back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. This time I'm gonna learn to say no once in a while.
I know. I said that. I said I have to learn to say no.
Yeah.
That was me, because every time they, oh yes, I can help you.
Before you know it, volunteering is a full-time job.
Yeah. Yeah.
But rewarding.
Yeah.
Very rewarding.
Agnes, as a long-term survivor, are there any survivorship challenges, either mental or physical, that you face?
No, I have some physical changes. That I have neuropathy because I had chemo, so I have a lot of physical changes that just started to come on, and that's one of the things in my support group. That's what we talk about, are all the changes you can get once you have chemo.
I think that's, I was reading one of the areas of research that American Cancer Society is looking at too, that, because so many more people are surviving, that survivorship issues have become an important issue.
Very important, very important. And there's a lot of that we do talk about at my support group.
Yeah.
That we're all going through. Somebody will mention, oh yeah, I have the same thing, or they'll mention something different, but yeah. So I think it's more, for me, more physical right now.
Well, this has been fun.
Yeah.
Jerry, what message would you like to share with those who are watching this interview? Any last words?
Yeah, two messages. One we just kind of talked about. Just enjoy life. Don't take it to the extreme where you are ridiculously overboard, but just realize that there may come your moment, and just don't have any regrets. Love a lot, live a lot, be happy, enjoy things, let things pass that aren't gonna. Life is made up of moments, good and bad, and you can release the bad ones and keep the good ones. But more importantly, I think my message is, again, I was very, very lucky. I didn't do anything special. All I did is what I was supposed to do. I went and did that horrible colonoscopy test that so many men and women don't want. And I went in there and I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. And there was one moment where I thought, it was so routine, I didn't even think about, I'm going in and do my thing. Okay, did the prep, did the stuff, I'm sitting there, and then there was one moment where I went, oh, actually this could end up being bad, and I kind of whatever. And then when I woke up and they told me, I said, so my message is, and it's been really good because I've had a lot of people reach out to me since they heard my situation and said they've scheduled it, whether it's a mammogram or whatever you ladies do, or the horrible colonoscopy, which on paper sounds horrible. You're asleep in the camera. You're asleep. You don't know. You're violated, but you don't know.
No, you don't know it.
But had I not done it, I might have found out that it was stage 3, and it may have been a very, very different ending, whether it be a loss of life or more extreme after fact, because I'm going to be reversed and everything should be fine. So very, very simply, the best, 100% best possible treatment for cancer is early detection.
That's it.
And the only way you can do that is do what you're supposed to do. Don't be afraid. My wife does that. I don't want to get my mammogram. I'm afraid they might find something. No. You don't want them to find something, but if there's something, you want them to find it.
You want them to find it.
So early detection, do what you need to do, get checked, and just make sure you do it regularly.
Yeah. Well, and Agnes, I was wondering too what you would like to share with them.
Pretty much what Jerry said, early detection. But I always tell, just think positive. I think when you're going through that journey, positive thinking helps more. And I've heard this through Scott, what is that, Kettering Sloan? Mm-hmm. One of the things he said that most of his patients that he saw were positive thinking fared better than the ones that were so negative. So I always say just think positive. Like I said, we've come a long way. It's not a death sentence like we thought years and years ago. So that's, and early detection, like Jerry said, very important. And do your mammograms. I know, don't be afraid.
Yeah. And donate a few bucks.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Lots of amazing causes out there, obviously, but...
And one thing, the American Cancer Society, all that they offer are all free.
Yeah, the
The programs are all free, so I do push that a lot.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your stories, and hearing about your experiences is inspirational, and we are all touched and we benefit from hearing what you have to share with us. So thank you again, and we hope that people can look at the the Santa Clarita Magazine article and then see a little bit more about your story there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.